The dream of making money, buying and selling properties, building wealth brick by brick, that whole allure of real estate investing, it's really powerful, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a vision that captures so many people.
But, well, here's the reality check. Making that dream actually happen takes more than just, wanting it.
Hmm.
It demands sharp knowledge, real determination, and actual skill.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what we're tackling in this deep dive. Our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, help you get well informed, and maybe most importantly, help you sidestep those classic mistakes new real estate investors tend to make. We've pulled together some really insightful stuff to guide us here.
Exactly. And think of it less like trying to become an instant expert overnight and more like, well, learning from the collective wisdom and, yeah, the occasional stumbles of people who've been down this road.
Right.
The real takeaway, I think, is that success in real estate really hinges on that meticulous due diligence and, proper upfront planning, being proactive, not reactive. That helps avoid those big headaches later.
Okay, let's unpack this then. One of the biggest errors, maybe the biggest, and frankly, pretty common, often starts before you even glance at a property listing. Failing to make a plan.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to get swept up in the excitement, right? A hot market, that FOMO kicks in, and you just want to start buying something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But jumping in without a really clear strategy for how that property will actually make you money, either income or gains, that's just hoping. And hope, well, it isn't much of a strategy.
No, it really isn't. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about asking those fundamental questions before you even start scrolling through Zillow.
Like what specifically?
Like, what is your actual investment strategy? Are you looking for a single-family home to rent out, a multifamily building, maybe something different like a vacation rental? Or are you thinking bigger mixed-use commercial?
Okay.
What's fascinating, though, is that some new investors get stuck.
Yeah.
They get stuck in analysis paralysis trying to find the perfect plan.
Yeah, I see that.
And then they end up making an impulsive buy anyway.
Yeah.
So the real insight isn't just have a plan. It's more like have a simple, adaptable plan. And crucially, one with a clear exit strategy.
Adaptable. And exit strategy.
Yeah. You've got to ask, what if the market turns sour? What if my assumptions about rent are just plain wrong? Planning for those scenarios up front, it minimizes those emotional decisions later on.
That distinction between analysis paralysis and impulsive buying, leading to basically the same mistake. That's a really sharp point. And it leads us kind of naturally to the second big pitfall, skimping on research.
Mm-hmm. Crucial.
I mean, think about it. When you buy a car or even like a new phone, most of us spend hours comparing, reading reviews, asking friends.
All right.
So why wouldn't we be even more rigorous with something as huge as an investment property? And here's where it gets really interesting. The research isn't just the building itself, it's the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. The neighborhood, the city plans.
Yeah, like the example from our source. What good is a beautifully renovated house if right around the corner there's a college frat house famous for, all-night parties?
Unless, of course, that's your target renter.
Exactly.
Right.
Unless you're aiming for student rentals, then maybe that's a plus.
But what's fascinating here is the depth of detail that real research requires. It's so much more than just curb appeal.
Okay, give us some examples. What should people be digging into?
Well, you need to be asking, is this property near, say, a commercial site? Or is there major construction plan nearby that could impact noise or traffic?
Good point.
What are the city's long-term plans for that specific area? Zoning changes, big infrastructure projects coming. Are there expected demographic shifts happening, like more young families moving in, or maybe the population is aging?
Okay, demographics too.
And then the potential problems, right? Is it in a flood zone? Are there known local issues like radon or termites or lead paint? Has the house itself had major foundation problems or permit issues in the past?
Oh, okay. That's a lot.
And it continues. What major systems like the roof, the HVAC, are nearing the end of their life? Why is this seller actually selling? What did they pay for it and when?
The why behind the sale. Interesting.
Yeah. And if you're new to a town, are there specific areas known for problems? Crime, bad infrastructure. And think about the practical stuff for future tenants or buyers. How close are grocery stores, good schools, hospitals, major employers? These aren't just minor details. They really paint the picture of future value and how easy it'll be to rent or sell.
That is a truly comprehensive list, and it really highlights how much due diligence goes way beyond just a quick walkthrough.
Definitely.
Which I think brings us nicely to mistake number 3, the know-it-all trap. We're just trying to do everything on your own.
Ah, yes. The DIY investor.
We all like to save money, right? But just because maybe your last deal went smoothly doesn't mean the next one will, especially if the market shifts. What kind of blind spots does trying to go it alone really create?
Well, this raises a really important question. Who should actually be on your real estate team? Because you absolutely cannot do this effectively alone, not long term.
Okay, so who's essential?
At a minimum, you really need a savvy real estate agent, one who understands investors, a really competent home inspector, someone who digs deeper than just the obvious stuff, a reliable handyman or maybe a general contractor you trust, a good real estate attorney, and importantly, a knowledgeable insurance representative.
That makes sense. A whole team.
Yeah, and these aren't just people you hire for a task. They're like your early warning system. They can spot hidden flaws in the structure or title defects and maybe easements you didn't know about that could genuinely, come back to haunt you later.
Haunt you financially, probably.
Oh, absolutely. Saving you tens, maybe hundreds of thousands down the line.
Mm-hmm.
An inspector might spot a major drainage issue, or an attorney might find some obscure deed restriction that makes your whole plan for the property impossible.
That's a great point about the attorney's role going beyond just, shuffling papers at closing. Speaking of legal stuff, what about the contracts themselves? You hear about people trying to save a few $100 on legal fees by not having an attorney review the purchase contract. From your perspective, what's the biggest risk there?
Oh, it's an incredibly risky gamble.
Yeah.
The most sort of insidious pitfall is often ambiguous or just incorrect wording in the contract. It might seem small, maybe even harmless at first glance.
Right.
But it can translate into huge financial losses or really drawn-out legal battles if it's not caught before you close.
Like what kind of wording?
Well, unclear language around contingencies, maybe who pays which closing costs, or even exactly what's included with the property, it can leave you really vulnerable. And beyond just the contract text, it is crucial to always get the property surveyed.
Surveyed. Why is that so important?
To ensure the lot size and the precise property borders are correctly specified. You want that nailed down. It prevents future disputes with neighbors or even challenges from the tax authorities years later. These aren't just formalities. They're fundamental protections for your investment.
Okay, survey noted. Switching gears slightly, but still related to research. It's easy to think about real estate on this grand national scale, right? Influenced by interest rates, big economic trends. But the truth is, real estate is fundamentally local. And this ties right back to what you were saying about deep research. Why is drilling down on the hyperlocal so critical?
Precisely. Because you could have a booming national market, but the street 2 blocks over from your target property could have stagnant values, or worse. You have to drill down on those specific local market parameters. Current land values, home values in that neighborhood, the existing levels of inventory right there, and maybe most importantly, the subtle supply and demand issues in that immediate area.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say a major employer announces they're building a new factory just a few miles away. That's a local factor that could seriously boost demand and property values nearby.
Okay.
Conversely, if a huge new housing development gets approved just down the road, that could flood the local market with supply, potentially softening prices. Developing a real feel for these micro-level details, that's what helps you make truly profitable purchase decisions. A hot city doesn't automatically mean a hot block.
That makes so much sense. Okay, let's pivot to the financial side now, starting with a big one, getting poor financing.
Yes. The loan itself.
It can be incredibly tempting, especially for new investors, to look at those exotic mortgage options like adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs where the rate can change, or even interest-only loans.
Lower initial payments.
Exactly. They make the property seem more affordable up front. But what happens when those teaser rates disappear?
Well, that's where the trouble starts, isn't it? You absolutely need to be sure you have the financial flexibility to handle higher payments if interest rates go up. Or at the very least have a clear backup plan, like converting to a standard fixed-rate mortgage down the line.
So ideally,
for an investment property, you'd want to start with a fixed-rate mortgage if possible. Or, if you have the capital, paying cash bypasses all those rate uncertainties.
right. Cash is king sometimes.
Sometimes. And it's just a critical reminder here, too, that mortgage lending discrimination is illegal. If you ever suspect you're being discriminated against based on race, religion, sex, marital status, anything like that,
Yeah.
you can and should file a report. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, or HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they handle those complaints.
That's a really important point for everyone listening. Now, a question we often get is, isn't all cash offer always better than getting a mortgage for an investment property? It seems simple, but
Well, on one hand, paying cash can save you a good chunk on closing costs, and obviously all that ongoing interest makes the initial buy cheaper.
okay, pros for cash.
But the big con is it dramatically reduces your liquidity. You have less cash free for other opportunities, maybe unexpected repairs on this property, and there's a real opportunity cost that cash isn't earning returns somewhere else.
Ah, the opportunity cost.
Right. So especially if interest rates are relatively low and you're pretty confident the rent you'll get will comfortably cover the mortgage payments and expenses, taking out a mortgage might actually make more sense.
Interesting. So leverage can be good.
It can be. You can use that leverage, that debt, to maybe acquire multiple properties instead of just one, or simply keep more cash reserves for safety or other investments. It really comes down to your personal financial strategy and your tolerance for risk.
That's a really insightful way to frame it. Definitely not a one-size-fits-all answer. Okay, let's tackle another mistake, one that can be really emotionally charged. Overpaying.
Oh yeah, easy to do.
We've all felt it, right? You find a property, it seems perfect, maybe it feels like the one, and that anxiety to just lock it down can lead buyers to bid too high, sometimes way too high.
Mm-hmm. Bidding wars?
Yeah. So what does this actually mean for your investment long term? It creates this kind of waterfall effect of problems, doesn't it?
It really does. You end up overextending yourself financially, taking on more debt than you should have.
Stuck with high payments.
Exactly. Higher payments than maybe you can comfortably afford. And it can take years just to get back to even, let alone actually turn a profit. The initial overpayment just ripples through everything.
So how do you avoid that? How do you keep emotion in check and avoid overpaying?
Your best defense is just cold, hard data. You absolutely must research comparable home sales, the comps in that specific area from recent months.
Where do you find those?
Well, a good real estate broker, especially one used to working with investors, can pull this data instantly from their MLS database. But you can also find a lot of it yourself in public real estate databases online, sometimes even in local newspapers or county records.
Okay, so comps are key.
Absolutely key. And the logic is pretty simple. Unless a particular home has truly unique features that you are certain add long-term value, your bids should really be consistent with what similar homes nearby have recently sold for.
Makes sense.
And maybe the most critical mental shift here is patience. Remind yourself, there will always be other opportunities. Even if a negotiation stalls or falls through, another suitable property will likely come along if you just stay patient and stick to your numbers.
Patience. Easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
And one really practical tip that came up in the source material. Think about your return on investment, your ROI, for any planned improvements before you buy.
How does that help avoid overpaying?
Well, for example, it's really hard to recoup your money on, say, a super high-end luxury bathroom renovation if the house still has a leaky roof or totally outdated electrical wiring. Prioritize the repairs that add structural integrity or bring the property up to modern safety standards first. Those usually offer a better return than cosmetic upgrades on a flawed foundation.
That's such a practical point. Focus on the bones of the house first. Okay, now let's talk about another critical financial mistake. Underestimating expenses.
The hidden cost.
Every homeowner knows owning a house costs more than just the mortgage, right? Even for investors. But what are those sort of silent profit killers that new investors often seem to miss?
Yeah, what's fascinating here is just how easily these costs get overlooked or minimized, and they can absolutely devour your profits if you're not careful.
Like what? Beyond the mortgage PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance?
Oh yeah, think about routine yard upkeep, appliance maintenance and eventual replacement. The big one, a new roof down the line, potential structural changes or repairs, your insurance premiums which can go up, and of course property taxes which almost always seem to creep upwards.
Right. Taxes and insurance aren't fixed forever.
Exactly. So the best advice really is to sit down and create a detailed list of all the estimated monthly and annual costs associated with actually running and maintaining that house. And do this before you even think about making an offer.
So budget everything out first.
Everything. This isn't just like a quick back-of-the-envelope thing. It's how you calculate your true potential return on investment. For rental properties, you need to know, does the rent I expect to get actually cover the mortgage and all these ongoing maintenance costs? plus maybe a vacancy factor.
And for flippers.
For house flippers, it's even more critical because their profit is so tightly linked to how fast they can turn the property. So all those holding costs, property taxes, insurance, utilities, the cost of their short-term financing, potential prepayment penalties on loans, maybe even cancellation fees if things go wrong, all of that eats directly into their margin every single day they own the property. Underestimate those, and your flip can easily become a flop.
That's a stark warning.
Hmm.
Okay, finally, let's look at a mistake that's particularly relevant if you're planning to rent out the property. Overlooking tenants' needs.
Forgetting who you're buying for.
It seems kind of obvious, maybe, but how does this actually play out in practice, and why do investors sometimes miss this?
Well, I think many investors get so focused on the deal itself, the numbers, the physical property, that they forget to really match their investment to the likely renter demographic in that specific area.
What do you mean by match?
Like, are you realistically targeting singles? Yeah. Young families, college students, because their needs and priorities are vastly different.
Right. Give us some examples.
Okay, so families, for instance, they'll almost always prioritize low crime rates, really good school districts, maybe a fenced yard for kids or pets. Singles, on the other hand, might be looking for easy access to mass transit, proximity to nightlife, restaurants, things to do.
And vacation rentals.
If you're thinking about a short-term or vacation rental, then its closest to specific attractions is paramount. Is it near the beach, ski slopes, a popular downtown area, theme parks, whatever the draw is for that location?
So the location dictates the tenant type.
To a large extent, yes. And what's often overlooked is that failing to understand and cater to the specific needs of that likely tenant pool directly impacts your property's profitability. And maybe even more importantly, your tenant occupancy rates. A mismatch means longer vacancies between tenants, potentially lower rents because it's not quite right for anyone. It hits your bottom line.
That makes perfect sense. Match the property to the renter. Just a quick thought before we wrap up. The lowball offer. We hear about it a lot. Is it actually worth making one when you're starting out? Or does it just, annoy sellers and maybe burn bridges?
Well, that really depends entirely on your strategy and the current market conditions.
Okay.
If you genuinely don't need to buy that specific property right away, and you can truly afford to risk losing out to other buyers who might offer more, then yes, a lowball offer can be a valid tactic. It's a long shot sometimes, but it can work, especially in a buyer's market or if you suspect the seller is highly motivated.
But the downsides?
Downsides are real. You're right. It could definitely annoy the seller, potentially to the point where they just completely ignore any future more reasonable bids you might make on that property. And in some situations, it could also potentially harm your real estate agent's reputation if they get known for bringing consistently unserious offers to the table. So it's really about weighing that potential, maybe small, chance of getting a steal against the potential relational cost and the risk of missing out entirely.
Got it. So maybe not the best strategy for your very first deal unless you're really confident.
Probably wise to be cautious, yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener, as you think about real estate? I think the core message today is pretty clear. If investing in real estate was truly easy, well, everybody would be doing it successfully, right?
True.
But the good news is many of the common struggles, those pitfalls we talked about that new investors face, they absolutely can be avoided. It really boils down to having that blend of sharp knowledge, unwavering determination, genuine skill, and maybe most importantly, doing your homework, that due diligence and proper planning before you even think about signing on that dotted line.
Absolutely. And maybe this raises an important question for you, the listener, to reflect on personally. Based on everything we've discussed today, what's maybe one area of real estate investing, whether it's research, planning, team building, financing, that you'll commit to dedicating just a bit more time to exploring or planning for before you make your next move?
That's a great closing thought.
Because that journey to becoming a smarter, more successful investor really does start with that one deliberate step, taking the time to learn, to plan before jumping in.